As Trump's forces continue bombing southern Iran, Tehran is now actively hunting down America's eyes in the sky, targeting the surveillance drones that guide these strikes with growing success. Iran's Navy air defense units are claiming they successfully shot down a drone identified as Lucas, marking another win for Tehran's efforts to control its own skies. Tehran states that this intruding unmanned aerial vehicle was tracked and ultimately destroyed while operating over southern Iranian territory, confirming the drone had crossed into restricted airspace. This latest claim comes right after second American MQ-9 Reaper drone was reportedly brought down over Abadan, adding to a growing list of downed U.S. surveillance aircraft. Iran's army stated that its modern air defense systems were responsible for bringing that Reaper drone out of the sky, showcasing capabilities it says have significantly improved. With 3 drones now reportedly downed, is Iran effectively reasserting control over its own airspace despite the ongoing American bombing campaign? All of this unfolds even as American missiles continue to strike targets deep inside Iranian territory, according to multiple reports from the region. An American missile reportedly struck the outskirts of the city of Abadan, extending the range of U.S. strikes into another densely populated Iranian region. Iranian officials strongly condemned this strike, describing it as a brutal act of aggression that violates the sovereignty of their nation. While no casualties were reported from this particular strike, Tehran made clear that such attacks will not go unanswered and will be met with an appropriate response. Iran's Joint Military Command has issued a fresh warning condemning what it described as President Donald Trump's bullying and brutality, accusing Washington of escalating tensions through continued military action. The Joint Military Command said that any further U.S. aggression would be met with what it called a devastating response, signaling that Iran is prepared to escalate its military retaliation if attacks continue.
Qadam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters warns a deceitful American enemy. Iran's armed forces will give a devastating response to any act of brutality. In this message, the commander of Qadam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters referred to the enemy's successive defeats in the military war and their sinister and delusional scheme in creating division and discord between the people and officials, and warned the criminal, treacherous, and deceitful American enemy that any act of covetousness, bullying, totalitarianism, or brutality will be met with a decisive and devastating response of the faithful, courageous, and powerful fighters of the armed forces, and at costs heavier than those of second and third imposed wars will be imposed upon them.
Iran's supreme leader also warned the United States that it would face unforgettable lessons if the ongoing attacks persist, underscoring Tehran's increasingly forceful rhetoric amid the escalating confrontation.
The warmth of burning hearts, tearful eyes, and steadfast resolves of the tens of million-strong crowd spanning tens of kilometers in Tehran, Qom, Mashhad, and other cities and villages drew admiration from the friends of the Iranian nation and the free peoples of the world, and left the arrogant enemies of the Iranian nation in astonishment, bewilderment, rage, and terror. Simultaneously with this epic, the repeated breaches of covenant by the great Satan regarding the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the presidents of Iran and America once again proved to everyone the utter worthlessness and invalidity of the American president's signature, and that bullying, absolutism, and brutality are inseparable components of the American creed and conduct. Today, the great Satan has once again unveiled its true, unmasked face, so that this dark experience of crime and bad faith serves as yet another strong document of America's mendacity, irrationality, unreliability, and vileness. Now that the American enemy seeks warmongering and the imposition of heavier costs and greater disgrace upon itself, let it know that the D-Nation of Iran and the Resistance Front have unforgettable lessons for it, lessons of which the valor of Islamic fighters and the zeal of the brave people along the Southern Front have shown examples in recent days. It is necessary to tell you, the loyal and proud people of Iran, that among the most fundamental matters in this period is the insistence on unity of word and sacred solidarity at all levels of the people and officials, and in all arenas, for the realization of the lofty ideals of the Islamic Revolution and the securing of the dignity and independence of Iran, especially in the face of the criminal and cunning American enemy, as has been repeatedly and emphatically pointed out before. Safeguarding unity and refraining from discord, conflict, political divisions, and highlighting social differences is a duty incumbent upon everyone, and of course, the role of officials and those devoted and deeply attached to the revolution, the Imam, and the martyred leader, in the cohesion and integrity of the country, is more important and sensitive. The enemy must not perceive any sign of weakness from us, including this kind of weakness. For whenever we fully observe these precautions, the enemy will inevitably be forced to retreat. Once again, I sincerely thank each and every dear citizen, who themselves are the mourners of the father of the martyred nation and who, despite hardships, some limitations and adversities, created a historic epic in the great event of the farewell to the martyr of Iran. I also extend my thanks to the honored sources of parliament, scholars, thinkers and elites, cultural, social and political activists, and to the actions and efforts of civil and military institutions, as well as to the presence of officials and representatives of the proud resistance front and the honorable Islamic movements. It is hoped that all those who, in any way, participated, accompanied and showed solidarity in this historic epic may be included in the special grace and prayers of our Master. May God Almighty hasten his noble reappearance. Sayyid Mojtaba Hosseini Khamenei, July 18, 2026.
As Iran conflict continues to intensify, the United States has issued a worldwide travel caution for American citizens, citing growing security concerns and the possibility of disruptions affecting international travel. In a travel alert issued on July 18th, the U.S. State Department warned that the global security environment has become increasingly complex, urging Americans to remain vigilant while traveling overseas. Washington said that groups aligned with or supportive of Iran could potentially target U.S. interests or locations associated with American citizens in different parts of the world. The State Department has advised Americans traveling or living abroad to closely monitor local news, remain alert to changing conditions, and follow updates issued by nearby U.S. embassies and consulates. The advisory also warns that flight cancellations, airspace closures, and other transportation disruptions could affect international travel plans as tensions continue to rise. The alert notes that U.S. diplomatic facilities, including embassies and consulates outside the Middle East, have been targeted during previous periods of heightened regional tensions. Despite issuing the global travel caution, Washington has not ordered American citizens to evacuate any specific country, instead encouraging travelers to stay informed and follow official guidance as the situation develops. The U.S. State Department statement read, and I quote, "Worldwide caution. Due to heightened tensions in the Middle East, the security environment remains complex with the potential for unforeseen escalation. We remind Americans in the region of the continued need for caution and encourage them to monitor the news for breaking developments. The Department of State advises Americans, worldwide, and especially in the Middle East, to exercise increased caution. Americans abroad should follow the guidance in security alerts issued by the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate. Flight cancellations and periodic airspace closures may cause travel disruptions. U.S. diplomatic facilities, including outside the Middle East, have been targeted. Groups supportive of Iran may target other U.S. interests overseas or locations associated with the United States and/or Americans throughout the world." Unquote. The warning followed a U.S. claim that an Iranian strike in Jordan killed 2 American service members, marking another deadly escalation amid the widening regional conflict. The U.S. military also reported that another American service member remains missing following the attack, as search and recovery efforts continue to determine the individual's whereabouts. Meanwhile, 4 American troops were medically evacuated to hospitals in Jordan after sustaining injuries in the strike, where they are receiving treatment and further medical evaluation.